Hello everyone! Welcome sa ating Art Smart with me, Teacher Precious! So, every February kasi, ang topic sa curriculum is prints, printmaking and patterns. Ha? So, this February, meron din tayong print activity. Do you remember what is a print? Naalala nyo ba? Sabi ni Glenda Perspective. Naalala nyo ba kung ano ang print? Do you know what a print means? Ano ibig sabihin ng printmaking? Landscape daw. Wow, ang daming favorite ni Francesca. Sabi ni Lala, yung drawing po na binakat sa crayon. Uy, naalala niya! Yay! Sige, okay. Yan. So, today we're gonna make another print. So, when you say print, it's the transferring of a paint or maybe crayon to another surface. Okay, so ang gagawin natin today, mag-printmaking din ulit tayo. Okay. So, aside from brushes, gagamit tayo ng ibang objects. Okay? So, pwedeng gumamit ng cotton buds, or pwede ring fingers, or pwede ring yung dulo ng pencil, yung eraser ng pencil, kung wala kayong pang-stamp. If you don't have paint, pwedeng crayons, di ba? If you don't have paint, you can also use crayons. But our topic today is about pointillism. Alam niyo ba kung ano ang pointillism? Pointillism? Alam niyo ba yung pointillism? Sige, may papakita lang ako ha. So, pag sinabing pointillism, sige nga, sinong nakakaalam ano ang pointillism? Pag sinabing pointillism, sabi ni Amanda, using dots to paint. Sabi ni R. Christian, yes, pointillism. Dots! Yes, the key word is dots. Diba? Pag-create ng dots. Sabi ni Francesca, I remember you did this last year, September. Yes, gumawa din tayo ng mga plants. Gamit yun. But today, Today, I will teach you basic pointillism, like prints. But for those who have been with us before, yung mga kasama natin dito ng matagal na, I hope you can create your own composition. Hindi lang kayo kukopya, di ba? After ng imitation, you'll be able to adapt or create your own. Dun sa mga matagal na nandito, pwede kayong gumawa ng sarili nyo. Sabi ni Manuel, using dots to make an image. Yes, okay. So, pointillism is, yes, making a big image, diba? Using mga dots. So, it's a technique in which hundreds of small dots or dashes of color are applied to canvas or another surface. So, hindi naman kailangan hundreds. Pwede naman kahit mga 20, 30, kung ano lang yung kaya nyo. Okay? Okay, sino na nakatry ng pointillism sa inyo? Meron na bang nakatry? So, yung pointillism, hindi lang siya sa colored, pwede rin black and white. Okay? Sige. Okay? Yan. So, alam niyo ba kung paano yung sa printer, di ba? How a printer works? It makes thousands of dots to create different colors. Ano ba yung mga color ng printer? What are the colors of that the printer has? Yung printer ink. Alam niyo ba kung ano yung colors ng ink ng printer, di ba? And then it creates many dots. Gumagawa siya ng madaming dots. Diba? Ano yung colors ng ink ng printer? Clue, CMYK. Ano kaya ibig sabihin ng CMYK? Yes, Glenda, magenta, cyan, yellow. Yung K is key. Pag sinabing key, it's light or dark. Or dito sa case na to, yung key as in susi, key. Black. So, CMYK means cyan, magenta, yellow, and key, which means black. So, yun. Yung red, green, and blue sa LED po ginagamit siya. I mean, sa screens, sa mga digital, yung RGB, red, green, blue. But sa printer, we use CMYK. Magkaibang process yon. So, yan. So, yung pointillism is similar to on how a printer works. Dots, 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 dots. Making many, many dots. Okay. So, kagaya nito. Yan. So, sa pointillism, yan, gagamit tayo ng maraming dots. And sa halip na long brush strokes, we'll just make a dots lang. And then, by combining different colors, you can create by combining primary colors, you can create different colors. So, you can choose any color. Hindi naman tayo specific sa colors today. Okay? Yan. Sorry, wait lang. Ayan. So, ito yung mga samples ng mga painting na gumagamit ng pointillism. Kita nyo? Anong nakikita nyo dito? What can you see in this picture? What can you see here? Diba? Pag sa malayo, mukha siyang landscape painting. Pero kapag close up nyo, pag nilapitan nyo, gawa to sa maraming tuldok-tuldok. Sabi ni Shane, can I make a flower, please? Of course. Like what I mentioned, di ba? When you're still learning a skill, you imitate, you copy me. But if you can create, if you want to create your own, yes, kaya nyo, pwede nyong gawin. That's how you develop creativity. So here, I'm just showing you examples. In here, pointillism, ano kaya to? You know, sometimes in pointillism, it doesn't look realistic. Hindi siya talaga mukhang totoo. Okay? So, pag ginamitan mo ng pointillism, usually, ang mukha lang siyang impression. Pag sinabing impression, yung unang tingin mo lang sa image. Hindi siya yung realistic. Hindi photorealistic. Hindi parang picture. Para lang siyang impression. Pag sinabing impression, yun lang yung dating niya. It kind of looks like this. That's what an impression is. So, yun ang impression. Ganun ang technique ginagamit ng pointillism. Yan. And, sometimes in art, we call it impressionist art. Kasi you're just using the colors to make an impression. Hindi mo talaga kinokopya ng totoo. Kaya madali siyang gawin. It's easy. Kasi you don't need to be frustrated if you can't copy exactly. Diba? See this? Ayan, oh. Can you see the dots? Kita ba yung dots sa screen? Ay, kita naman, ano? Ayan. Naku, ang tagal ang ano lang sa pointillism. Sometimes it can take long. Matagal gawin. Uy, sabi ni Amanda, it looks like sand. Good observation, Amanda. Sabi ni Anazia, that would be super hard. Oh, no. Yes, it's hard, but it can be relaxing and meditative. So, one characteristic of a relaxing art activity is when you do things repetitively. Kapag paulit-ulit yung ginagawa yung isang task or skill, sometimes ito yung nakaka-relax. Kasi minsan hindi mo na kailangan mag-isip. Sometimes you don't need to think. You just make dots. Dots, dots. And that relaxes you. That helps relaxes our mind. Kaya minsan yung mga patterns, creating dots, it has this therapeutic effect kasi relaxing siya. Sabi ni Arkin, look like shining suns. Yes, good observation. Okay, sabi ni Francesca, I'm gonna make a boat in the sea. If you don't have paint, it's okay. You can use crayons or oil pastels. Turuan ko kayo how to make dots by yung pagbilog ng crayon or oil pastel sa paper. Yan. See, pag close up, ito siya sa malayo. Pero pag nilapit nyo na, ganito na siya. You see? Okay? Yan. Hi, Natalie. Watching from San Pedro Elementary School. Adelina, grade 1, Sampaguita. Ayan, o, diba? See the dots? Okay, but for today, we'll be careful not to mix the colors, yung sa dots, yung mismong dot, pag naghalo kasi sila magiging brown eh. So, better if you let the one paint dry first before adding another layer. Ayan. And this is one of the famous examples of pointillism by Georges Seurat. So, he is a French post-impressionist artist. Impressionist artist siya. Yan. Kasi nga, impression lang yung kinukuha niya. Hindi niya kinakopya yung totoo. Kung ano lang yung impression. Using dots. Okay? It takes time, but sometimes, yung effort ng artist sa pag-create ng artwork kasama sa ganda or value niya. Okay? So, sometimes, when you see an artwork, pag alam mong matyaga ginawa, matagal ginawa, sometimes it adds value. Diba? Hindi lang yung concept ng artist. Okay? So, are you excited or are you ready? Well, pastel si Anazia. Are you ready to create your own pointillism art? Who's ready? Please comment. Ready na? Yan. Okay. Ready na daw. Sige. But before that, meron tayong nakaligtaan. Yung mga nag-submit ng Art Smart artwork last week. Sino yung mga nag-submit ng artwork last week? Sige. At because of that, panoorin muna natin itong slideshow. Yay! Very good! Okay, ang galing ng mga works nyo. Yung iba dun, nakita ko. Iba dun sa ginawa ko, di ba? Very good. Dun nagsa-start ang origination and creativity. Okay? So, yan. So, ready na ba kayo sa ating next activity? If you want to get featured, just later I will give instructions, ha? Okay. So, ready na ba kayo? Ready na. Okay. So, please prepare your paper. Prepare your paper. Watercolor. If you're gonna use paint, use watercolor paper. Diba? Kung gagamit kayo ng paint, gamit kayo ng watercolor paper. Pero kung mag-all pastel kayo, kung wala kayong paint, pwede naman yung kahit yung dry media lang. Okay, pick, paint. Ayan. Dito na po tayo sa ating artwork. Ayan. Okay, handa na ba? So, ito, very simple lang na pointillism na landscape or flowers. Pwede kayong gumawa ng actually kahit anong object. Kahit boat, sabi ni Francesca, boat, airplane, landscape, tao. Okay, anything. Pwede. Okay. Just use your imagination or you can copy from a reference. And I will be using cotton buds. Lagi ko ito ginagamit because sometimes it's difficult to control the tip of a paintbrush. Actually, mas may control pa yung Q-tip or yung cotton buds. Pwede rin naman gumamit ng ibang pantatak. Pwedeng fingers if you want a big dot, pwedeng fingers. You can also use fingers. You can also try experimenting with other objects. Pwede nyo rin i-try ibang bagay sa pag-print, ba? Okay. So, yan. So, ngayon, dito, meron akong 2 techniques na ginawa. So, merong wet on wet muna. Tsaka wet on dry. Do you remember what is wet on wet? Wet on wet technique? Sa watercolor. Alin kaya dito yung watercolor wet on wet technique na ginamit ko? Alin dito? Which part of the painting uses wet on wet technique? Naalala nyo ba? Yung mga dati pa dito, di ba? Hi po, Filipino Guro. Hi, ma'am. Sky, sabi ni Nazia. Yes. So, here sa sky part, ito yung ginamitan ko ng wet on wet. What does wet on wet technique mean sa watercolor? Diba? Pag wet yung paper, tapos lalagyan mo ng wet na paint. Okay. So, in here, kung makikita nyo, di ba? So, pag watercolor, if you're using watercolor or paint, kakalat yung paint dun sa basa. It will spread to the wet part. Okay. So, in here, I only painted the top part. Yung taas lang yung pinintahan ko ng sky. Para pag nilagay ko yung dots, hindi kakalat doon sa sky. Unless patuyuin nyo. Kung may time kayo, pwede nyo patuyuin. But, I want a bright color ng yellow, orange, green. Gusto ko bright yung color. And, for you to get a bright color, better if yung paper nyo is white. Kung lalagyan ko ng blue lahat to, pwede din naman, but I'm using watercolor. It's transparent. And then if I add yellow on top of blue, what will happen? Diba? Kung gagawin kong blue lahat ng background, tapos lalagyan ko ng yellow sa taas, magbi-mix yung yellow sa blue, what will happen to the yellow? Makakakuha ba ako ng yellow? Will I get the yellow paint if I put yellow on top of blue? And I'm using watercolor, ha? This is not acrylic. This is watercolor. What will happen? It will turn green, di ba? Kasi watercolor is transparent, translucent. So, magmimix sila. Okay? But if you're using poster paint or acrylic, no, there's no problem. You can layer them. Pwede ring oil pastel. See, in here, I use cotton bud. Pakita ko lang, ha. But, you can use oil pastel or crayons din to create your dots. Pero, you should create like a doorknob stroke. Para ka nagbubukas ng doorknob. Alam mo yung pinto, pag ganon. So, pag ganito, wag lang dot kasi if you do dot, walang nangyayari. Dapat, technique lang practice tayo sa oil pastel. Kapag ganyan, di ba, wala masyado. See? Can't see. Can't even see. Dapat, pabilog. Kumari, you drop and then swirl. Ganun. Kita nyo ba? Yan o. Tingnan nyo. Dot. Swirl. Iikot nyo. Turn. Dot and turn. Dot and turn. Practice kayo. Yan. Pag you're using oil pastel or crayons, ha? Kailangan solid yung dots nyo. So, it's nicer. If you're using paint, you'll just use cotton buds and dip it. Madali lang. Okay? So, are you ready? Try pa. Sige, try natin. Try nyo muna nga. Try nyo. You try first. Kailangan yung dots nyo ay solid and round. Yan o, swirl. Dot and turn. Dot, turn. Dot, turn. Kasi kapag ginanong-ganon nyo lang, tingnan nyo. O, diba? Hindi halos kita, tapos hindi same size. Hindi masyado maganda. Better talaga yun kapag dot, turn. Iikot nyo. Okay ba? Naintindihan po? You're able to get how to do the pointillism. The foundation in pointillism are your points or your dots. So, you have to make your dots nice. Kailangan maganda yung dots. Yan. Okay na? Ready na? Okay. So, ngayon, gagawa muna ako ng backdrop. So, what are you gonna paint? Car, flower, any object. Kung anong favorite nyo, pwede ring food. Diba? But I'm gonna teach you the basic one. Nasa sa inyo na paano nyo siya gagawin mas complicated. It's up to you how to make it, nice. Okay? And unique. Okay. So, in here, I'll just make a backdrop first. I'll make the sky. So, half lang nung paper yung gagawin ko kasi gusto ko yung half, mga flowers. And I don't have enough time to let it dry. Wala akong oras na para patuyuin siya ng matagal, kaya kalahati lang. Pero kung may time kayo patuyo, sige, pwede nyo siyang gawin. Okay? So, ready na? Ready na? Okay, so meron akong water dito. And always try to use 2 water containers kung magpipaint kayo. If you're using oil pastel, you can color the sky then, light blue, with crayons. Okay? Hindi man kailangan na. Ilalagyan ko lang ng layer. And then first, the wet on wet, di ba? Wet muna. So, water lang. kalahati lang, babasain ko. Kasi ayoko nga bumaba yung paint lahat. So, I just wet half. I'm using watercolor paper. If you're using oil pastel, mas madali kasi hindi nyo na kailangan masyadong yan. And then, while it's still wet, kita nyo ba yung wet? Yan, you know it's wet when it's shiny. Ganito yung gusto kong, yung palatandaan ko when I teach kids. So, how do you know if it's wet enough if it's shiny? But not dripping. Dapat hindi tumutulo. Kasi pag tumulo, mahirap yun. Tapos, kuha lang tayong paint. Kuha lang ako ng paint sa sky. Pwede rin kayo actually maglagay ng rainbow. Tapos, yung taas lang yung lalagyan ko. At dahil basa yung paper, kusa siyang bababa. Yan. Pero, gusto ko kasi gradient or faded. Gusto ko faded. I wanted to fade from here, dark blue to light blue. So, what I'll do, hugasan niyo yung brush. Ngayon, meron na kayong malinis na brush. Isa-swipe nyo dito. Yan. Para dahan-dahan nag-fade yung paint or yung color. Yan. Magagawa nyo to sa watercolor paper. But if you're using ordinary, yung coupon bond or bond paper, baka hindi mas siya mag-work. That's the difference of watercolor paper and ordinary paper. Kasi maraming nag-aakala na same lang sila. But it's, in watercolor paper, you can blend more. You can sometimes even erase yung paint. So, yun yung difference. And it can hold much more water. Yung bond paper, kailangan you have to be extra careful kasi it trips easily. Okay, now, meron na akong sky. I will do the grass part. So, yan. Alam niyo ba kung anong ginamit ko dito? Hindi paintbrush. Can you guess? Sabi ni LG, no, I'm using long bond. You can use long bond paper for watercolor, but it will not blend as much. Hindi ganun kaganda yung blending. And madaling mapunit. So, you have to be extra careful. Yan. Ayan. Ang gamit ko dito ay, hulaan nyo, can you guess? Anong ginamit ko dito? Sa mga green part. Hindi paintbrush. Pwede na kayo gumawa ng dandelion. Sana. Hindi paintbrush, kundi, nasa na yun? Alam nyo ba kung ano? Yan. Cardboard. Kumuha lang ako ng cardboard or folder. You can experiment, ha? Diba? Ito yung, you have your practice sheet. This is our practice sheet. Practice sheet. Practice. Para dito kayo mag-experiment. Okay? It's nice to have a practice sheet always ready. So that you can explore, experiment, and make mistakes and learn from it. Kasi part of the learning process is making mistakes. Normal ang magkamali. Pero kung magkakamali ka, okay lang na, maganda na sa practice paper para hindi naman madaling or hindi mo kailangan umulit or hindi manghinayang. So, sa practice paper, dun kasi tayo natututo. Sa practice. At kasama dun yung magkamali. Minsan, mahirap pag sa isang paper ka lang nag-work. It's difficult if you're only working on one paper and that you're pressured not to make mistakes. Diba? Mas madali kapag pwedeng magkamali. So, dito tayo sa practice sheet. Sabi ni AV, pwede daw string. Yes, pwedeng strings. Okay. Ako, gamit ko lang, cardboard. Dito. Itong cardboard yung sa green. Pakita ko kung paano, ha. So, ba yan? So, yung green, lalagyan ko lang ng green dito sa dulo. Pwede nyo isawsaw yung ito sa green paint or you can add green dito sa paintbrush. Yan. Lagay ko dito, practice tayo. Practice. Sub ko lang ito. Green. Lagyan natin ng green to. O kaya isawsaw nyo. Pwede rin, experiment kayo kung anong mag-work. Tapos, pwede nyo siyang stamp. Oops, kulang pa. Yan. So, ito yung practice. So, di ba, una wala. Pero pangalawa, meron na. But dito, nag-fade na. So, you have to refill it or pwede nyo lagyan ulit ng isa pang paint. So, practice lang. So, ganun ko siya ginawa. You can try paintbrush din. Pwede rin naman itong mismong yung cotton buds nyo. Diba? Okay. Sige, try ko ha. Gumawa nun. Green. Lagyan ko lang ng green. Pwede nyo rin isawsaw. Kaya lang, mas madali for me yung ganito eh. Tapos, letter V. Pwedeng cardboard o pwede rin yan. Yan yung grass. Diba? Oops, kulang na. Dagdagan pa natin. And yung grass nyo, pwedeng hindi lang ganito. Pwede rin may bushes. Mamaya, pakita ko. Yan. Nagtupi na. Yan. Gawa tayo. Tapos yung isa naman, pwedeng gawa sa crumpled tissue. So, when you say print, diba, print, you're adding paint on another surface. Kagaya nito, I'm adding paint here. Naglalagay ako ng pintura dito. Tapos, ito yung gagamitin ko to apply paint dun sa surface or sa paper. And I can make repeating patterns. I can make it I can repeat it. Pwedeng yung ulit-ulitin. Ganun ang print. Yan. Pwede siyang ulit-ulitin. Yan na yung aking grass. Yan. Okay, masyado ba maliwanag? Yan. Kikita nyo. Okay. Ito yung grass. Pero, pwede rin iba. Pwede rin crumpled tissue. Let's try. Try natin. Sa Kumu, gumagawa rin po ba sila? Hi, Melody. Yadora. Okay, try natin naman yung crumpled tissue or crumpled paper. Pwede rin yun. Kaso mas... Meron akong crumpled paper. Tissue. Yan. Ba, yan siya. Pwedeng ganyan, pang stem. Pwede rin namang brush. Pwede rin tinidor. Pwede rin fork. Hi, Tatiana! Hi, Miss Ruby. Sabi ni Ann, can I use finger din? Of course. Diba that's why we have practice? Si Ann, you have a practice paper. You can experiment here. Tinatanong niya kung pwede daw finger. Let's try. Pwede kayang finger? Pwede kaya? Pwede yung finger. You can use your finger. Diba? So, keep your practice sheet ready. So, you can explore and experiment. Kasi pwede rin na meron kayong alam na hindi ko alam. Diba? Meron bang crumpled paper or tissue? Wala akong crumpled paper dito. Naman ng grass. Brown naman, brown. Kunwari, medyo may lupa sa gilid. Pwede kayo mag-experiment ng iba nga bark ng tree, mga bulaklak mismo yung pang-print nyo, Lego. Diba? Kaya lang, try ko itong crumpled paper na lukot-lukot. Subukan ko lang. Oh, di ba may texture? Para hindi boring na flat lang na brown. Hindi ganito kakinis, oh. Di ba? Yung sky, tinan nyo, smooth. Kaya hindi ko ginamitan ng texture kasi gusto ko smooth yung sky. Actually, mukha ring underwater. You can also create underwater theme. Sabi ni Francesca, straw. Yes. Hindi ako na ng konting brown dito. Mamaya ako lalagyan. Pwede ring trees. Lagyan natin ng konting yellow. You know, when you paint, huwag lang isang... Yung pointillism, lalagay ko lang sa flower. Yung pointillism na technique. Yan. Pero, yung the rest, prints. Ibang klase ng prints. Busin ko lang tong green. Tapos, mamaya papakita ko sa inyo paano mag-create ng shadows and highlights with pointillism. Bagong work naman yan. Dito mas konti. Ganyan ko na lang. Okay. Tapos, yan. Ay, pwede ka rin mag-still life gamit points lang. Mamaya, pakita ko. Ito muna tayo sa isang artwork. Okay. Ngayon, yan, gagawin kong ganito siya sa akin. Hindi masyado balanced. And then, we will create the dots or points. So, pwede naman na random. When you say random, kahit saan, you just make an impression that there's tiny flowers. Or you can create one big illustration, one big flower, parang ganon. Tingnan natin ha, dito sa samples natin. Pwede rin isang malaking flower. Pwedeng parang kalat-kalat lang siya. Sige, tatry ko ha. So, ngayon, dito, meron akong paint. Sausaw ko lang sa water. And then, kuha tayo. Anong color unahin natin? Orange. Orange yung gitna. Gagawin kong orange yung gitna. Tapos, mayroong yellow sa paligid. Pwede rin ng mga dots lang ganito. So, pili lang ako. Okay. So, if you're using paint, madali lang. Dots lang. But, if you're using yan. Oops. Yan. Tapos, pwede rin may konting red. Red. Pwede nyo pagdikit-dikitin, pwedeng hindi. It's up to you. You explore. You can explore and experiment. I'll add yellow. Dito ba? Yan. Nakakita na. Okay, remember when you use yellow paint, make sure to use clean water. Hindi ko siyang lagyan. Ito more of yellow din, but ito parang ganun din gagawin ko. Medyo similar. But look, if you press harder, the circles, the dots will become bigger pag diniinan nyo, diba? Sabi ni Sofia, hi teacher, late po ako teacher, kakatapos na po ng online class namin. Yay! Sabi ni Shane, can I add the house and flowers? Yes, you can combine. So, pointillism is quite difficult if you do it purely, like pure pointillism, at matrabaho siya. So, you can combine. You can start by mixing techniques. Pwedeng may drawing, with normal coloring, or painting, and then you can add the pointillism as texture or for patterns. Okay, so if you're using watercolor like mine, hindi siya kagana kung dark yung papatungan nyo. But if you're using acrylic or poster paint, pwede niyang mapatungan yung color sa ilalim. Yun yung difference niya. That's why watercolor is called watercolor because it has a property of water. Medyo translucent siya. Hindi niya matatakpan yung color sa ilalim nyo. Liwanag ba? Ayan. Dots. Meron kaming plate when I was in fine arts. Hindi ko na mahanap yung copy eh. We had to create a portrait, black and white, pointillism. Naku, it took me 16 hours to create half paper. Sobrang tagal siyang gawin. Try ko hanapin. Wait lang. Yeah. Tapos, dots lang. Ito yung sinasabi kong medyo meditative and relaxing. When you're doing a repetitive action, pag paulit-ulit nyo ginagawa na hindi na masyado kailangan isipin, it can be quite relaxing and therapeutic. Kaya nito. Then do it slowly and carefully. Sometimes kasi, one common things to avoid when you're doing pointillism, yung ganito yung nagiging check, Yung nagiging check yung points. Is that a point? Or is this a point? Minsan kasi kakamadali, gumaganon na yung point. Hindi na points. Check na siya. Hindi na siya pointillism. Puro checks na. Sabi ni Azia, is acrylic permanent po? Yes, it's permanent. It's, hindi siya nabubura. Wow, si Maureen Batiles. Thank you sa iyong virtual halo-halo from Kumu. Yan. Kamusta naman yung work nyo? I mean, ano nang ginagawa nyo ngayon? What are you doing now? What part are you creating now? Pwede rin palang butterflies and bees. Yan. So in here, I did not mix the orange dun sa yellow, but you can actually try it. You can actually experiment and try it. Sabi ni Sophie, poster paint mine. Yes, poster paint is opaque. Pero ang difference niya with acrylic, poster paint, you can erase and wash it with water. With acrylic, once it dries, it's permanent na. Sige. Can you tell me about your work? Ano pa yung mga dinagdag nyo? Finger daw. Pwede tayong gumawa na. Actually, pwede natin i-review yung ginawa natin last year. Last year, we made fingerprint animals. Actually, pwede ka i-mix dito ng konti. Konti lang. May mix ko lang ng konti sa yellow. Para naman mag-blend. Hindi. Mas maganda pala yung hiwa-hiwalay. Para kita talaga yung dots. Sa pointillism, mas maganda kita yung individual dots. So, pag nagdikit-dikit yung wet parts, hindi na nakikita yung dots. Nagiging blob na lang siya ng paint. So, try to keep the dots circles. Like, kita yung bilog. Let it wait to dry para hindi siya mag-mix doon sa isa. Yan. Tapos, try gumawa ng insect sa ilalim. Yan. Dito, try ko palang mas darker ng konti kasi orange na to. Yan. So, this is a very basic example. May papakita pa akong isa sa inyo. Paano naman yung mas realistic. Hindi man realistic, mas yung may highlights and shadows. How to use highlights and shadows with pointillism. And gawa tayo ng butterfly. Or insect, or clouds. Finger na lang gagamitin ko. Practice muna tayo, di ba? Okay, practice. May practice kasi kahit ako hindi ko sure. So, it's nice that you have a practice sheet. Gagawa ako ng 4-fingered butterfly. Ganyan lang. Yan. So, gawa muna ako ng stem, oil pastel na lang. Pwede rin cotton buds. Tapos, fingers na lang. Actually, better pa rin talaga yung cotton bud kasi mas may control. But look, 1, 2, 3, 4. Ay, na-dry na. Oh, when it's dry, you wet it again. Hindi niya adjust ng konti. Here, di ba? Mas may butterfly. Tapos, pwede na naman konti design. Actually, in my previous videos dati, ang dami ko nang ginawang more of prints using fingers and cotton buds. Ngayon, masyadong dark to. I will lift it by erasing it with cotton buds. Yan. Lifting ang tawag when you erase color sa watercolor. Yan. Kasi it's too light. It's too dark. I think. Pero like I mentioned, if you're using ordinary paper, minsan hindi nyo na siya mabubura. Yun yung difference ng watercolor. Pwede ko pang darkan itong ilalim. Ilalim. Okay. Tapos, yan. Ayan, di ba? Pampa-texture o mga bato-bato. Pwede nyo drawing isa-isa. Isang bato, brown. O yan. And then look at the difference, di ba? Ito yung brush lang. This is the ordinary brush. Very smooth. But this is the textured one with prints. See, with prints, you can create You can actually create texture. You can also create highlights and shadows. Yan. You can use toys as prints. You can use your finger, pencil eraser. Yan. You could be using oil pastel. Pwede rin naman. But hindi nyo lang. Yan. Pwede ko pang dagdagan pala sa likod ng yellow. Pero medyo mas faint. Ay, orange na lang. Yan. Yan. Diba? Yan. Yan. Parang landscape siya. Clouds daw. Yun ang drawing po ako ng mga animals, sabi niyo una. Oh, pwede rin. Animals. Animals. Pwede. You can also try making animals, no? Pilagyan natin ang bird lang. When you create a bird, make sure your paint is dry. Tapos, yung gitna, mas tinatabaan ko. There. Okay? Clouds daw. Pwede rin clouds. So, kaya itong gawin din ng mga bata, even preschoolers. Even, I also use these techniques when I teach some of my kids with autism, tsaka yung Down syndrome. May mga kids akong mga younger kids na tinuturuan, no? This is easy, but instead of cotton buds, because it's too thin, we use a stamp. Medyo mas makapal na sponge na nakakabit sa stick kasi they can hold it with the palmar grip. Ganito. Madali nilang i-stamp. So, hindi masyado kailangan ng fine motor control. Kaya easy siya. Okay, yan. So, how was your work? Sino gumawa ng ibang illustration aside from landscape or flowers? Don, Art Christian, ano yung sa'yo, Art Christian? Meron bang gumawa ng mga toys or ng other objects? Orange. Maganda yung orange dito sa sample natin na isa eh. Orange and blue. Ay, pwede rin palang lagyan ng leaves. Wait lang. Dahon. Para controlled, I'll just use... Pwede naman iba, pero pwede na rin din all pass. Ay, ito. Leaves, tingnan nyo. Yan, di ba? Okay. There. So, this is my landscape. Kamusta naman yung works nyo? Si Una, I made bears. Sabi ni Roxanne, I made flower out of calamansi. Yung calamansi na hinate, yung gulay. Wow, very good. Great idea. I'm excited to see what your works look like. Gusto ko na makita yung mga gawa ninyo. Yan, sige. So, kung tapos na kayo, so sana makita namin yung works nyo. So, pwede nyo kuhanan ng picture, patulong ng kay nanay, tatay, kay ate. Tapos i-post sa inyong Facebook. Okay, sa mga Kumu viewers po natin, like si Meow89, thank you sa halo-halo. Ayan. Pwede nyo i-share din ang inyong post, ang artwork sa inyong social media. Wow, we have 2,236 viewers pala sa Kumu, no? Wow! Diba? Sana yung Kumu viewers natin, sana makita din namin yung works nyo. So, post nyo lang sa social media, sa Facebook, and include the hashtag ArtSmart with Teacher Precious. Ito. ArtSmart with Teacher Precious. Yan. Include nyo po yan and set your privacy settings to public para makita namin siya. Okay? So, siguro... Yan. So, again, special lang episode natin next week, ha? Because we're celebrating ArtSmart's first year anniversary. And thank you so much for joining and being here with us. Mas malaki na po ang community natin. Salamat po sa inyong support at pagsubaybay. So, walang absent next week, ha? So, again, before we end, please, you can watch the replay of this sa Just Love Kids website, saka sa Facebook page ng Knowledge Channel, at sa Teacher Precious Facebook page. Okay? Yan. So, see you again next Friday. So, thank you so much for joining us today. So, always remember, know your art, be art smart. Thank you, everyone. Bye.